Hi everyone, and welcome to this video. My name is Christina Aroche. I am the Angelic Healer. I'm a spiritual teacher and mentor, and I channel the Archangels. And so in this video, I want to talk about how to distinguish from guidance that you receive from the archangels, or if it's all just coming from your mind and from your ego and your imagination, and how do you distinguish between the two? So this is a huge question that I get all the time and that I totally understand, because when I was at that point when I was learning about the archangels and distinguishing between what was coming from my mind and what guidance was coming from them, this is a huge thing, and it's an important one too, because when it comes to opening up to your spiritual gifts, when it comes to deepening your connection with the universe, with the archangels, with your own self, a lot of it, like 99% of it, has to do with you trusting that connection. It has to do with you trusting in the process, trusting in what you receive, because obviously there's no physical evidence of the archangels. There's no physical, you can't touch them physically right here in front of you, that it's all about you opening up to your senses and your perception of them and seeing that and feeling that and knowing that that is real. But when we are in that process of learning, when we have lived most of our lives only tuning into the physical world around us and using that as proof of everything, and then when suddenly you begin to open up and you're being asked to trust something that you can't physically see, that then takes some practice. It takes some time to learn and understand and know how to distinguish between what really is coming from your imagination or the ego mind or whatever, versus what's actually coming from the archangels. So I'm going to be sharing about that today in this video, how to distinguish between the two, and also give you some tips on how to deepen your connection and begin to really tune into that and be good at distinguishing between when it's your ego talking and when it's the archangels. So in case you are new to these videos, I am a spiritual teacher and mentor, and I help people to open up to their connection to the archangels. I teach people how to channel the angelic realms. I guide people on their journey of spiritual awakening and growth, and guide them towards their purpose and what it is that they're meant to do here, how they're meant to share their gifts, how they're meant to share their light with the world. And so in this video, this is something different that I'm doing. Usually I talk about the archangels or one of the archangels or something, but here we're talking about ego versus archangels, because this is a huge question that I get. So I wanted to answer it in this video. So let's first talk about what ego feels like or sounds like or whatever, what experience the ego gives when we receive information or guidance from the ego mind. So the ego mind is basically our human mind. It's the human part of us. It's not the part of us that is connected to the spiritual realms. It's not the part of us that is our higher self. It's not, it's none of those things. It's the part of us that's the human mind that is here to basically keep us keep us safe. It's there to keep us in survival, there to help us with our survival. It is it's a part of the human condition. It's part of us living here. And so as you go through this journey of spiritual growth, of spiritual awakening, what you'll find is that you are able to distinguish more and more between when it's your ego speaking or when it is your higher self, when it's the archangels. And so the first indicator of the ego, when it's the ego mind speaking to you, when it's giving you guidance, is that it is based in fear. So when there is any form of fear involved, when you feel any fear, or when you're making a decision based on fear, you're making the decision based on what the ego is asking you to do. So one of the things that the ego likes to do is it wants to keep us safe, which means that basically anything that puts you outside of your comfort zone, basically anything that takes you into a place where there is unknown factors, so anything new, anything that you've never experienced before, that's unknown to the ego mind. So anything like that basically takes you away from the place around you that that you're familiar with, that you're comfortable in, that triggers an alarm for the ego mind, and that's like, no, 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 you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't go there, you're not ready for this because it's not safe. Okay. And that's what I mean, safe in the sense of you don't know what's going to happen kind of thing. That's what the ego mind thinks. And so whenever you're making decisions based on fear, whenever you're making decisions, or whenever you receive guidance that causes this sense of fear within you, that's when you know that it's the ego talking to you. It's the ego who is trying to just keep you in your comfort zone, and it does that by bringing fear into the equation, into your mind. Now, the other thing that the ego does is that oftentimes when it asks us to do something, when it brings us guidance, it almost feels like there's this big pressure on us. It's almost like this feeling of, if you don't do this, then you're not good enough. Or if you don't get this whole list done today, this to-do list that you need to do, then you're not good enough. You're not doing enough. You're not busy enough. You're not working hard enough. All this kind of stuff. So there's always this constant pressure when it comes to the ego. It's this pressure. It's this feeling of, if I don't do this now, or if I don't follow this, or if I don't then I'm going to miss out on something. Or, I won't be able to do whatever it is that you're aiming to do. And that's another thing that the ego does. It brings this energy of pressure to you. Now, and then in relation to that, and I kind of mentioned it already, is that it also brings in this sense of urgency. Like, if you don't do this now, then you're going to run out. They're going to run out of whatever it is. There's not going to be enough people, enough money, enough whatever it may be for you. So you better hurry up and do this now. Otherwise, you're going to miss out. So there's also the sense of urgency, the sense of there's not enough for everyone. So you better hurry up and you better get to the top first kind of things. That's the other thing that the ego does. That's another aspect of the ego. And then overall, as you can probably tell from all of these different things, is that in general, it's not going to feel good. So whatever guidance you receive, whatever kind of action steps that you decide you need to take, it's not going to feel good. It's just going to feel very icky. It's going to feel not aligned. It's going to feel this sort of sense of resistance, like, ugh, I have to do this, like that kind of stuff. It's not going to feel good. And when it doesn't feel good, that's when you know that it's not, whatever the guidance is, it's not in alignment with yourself, which means that it's not in alignment with your higher self, which means that the guidance did not come from the divine. So those are a few things to know, to see and distinguish between when the ego is speaking to you and when you're receiving guidance from the ego. Now, when it comes to the archangels, okay, and I'm going to specifically talk about the archangels, but this applies basically to any other spiritual being that works in the light and in the love of the divine. So when the archangels speak to you, they speak with so much love, so much peace. It's like no matter what they're saying to you, you cannot deny the presence of that love. You cannot deny the presence, the feelings, that peaceful energy that they bring. So that's like the number one indicator, that whatever it is that they're saying, you feel so loved. You feel so good about what they're telling you. That's like number one thing. The next thing is that they are always supportive of you. So even though maybe you might think that you have to do a certain thing, or you're asking for guidance about a certain way, and they say no, that's not the right direction for you, they never do it in a way that's disempowering to you. They never do it in a way that will leave you kind of hanging. They always guide you. They're always supporting you. They're always kind of leading you. No, it's not that way, but you got to do this, and this is what you need to look at to be able to do that. Like that's the kind of stuff that they do. That's the kind of stuff that they share. They're always so supportive and give you guidance and exactly what you need to do. Or if there's a situation and you need to change something within yourself, they'll direct you to what it is that you need to change, what you need to look at, what energy you need to shift to be able to achieve whatever it is that you desire. So that's something else. And in relation to that is that no matter what, they always guide you in the right direction, in a very positive way. So whenever, I do channeling sessions for people, whenever I work with my clients, it's always Like they leave feeling so empowered. They leave feeling so good about themselves. They leave feeling so loved, so supported, so full of peace, because that's the energy that the archangels bring. That is the energy that the archangels leave you with. And that is the power of working with your archangels and receiving their guidance, that it leaves you with this amazing, amazing energy, this amazing feeling within yourself. And so, as you can probably tell, it's the exact opposite of the ego mind. So whereas the ego leaves you feeling icky and not feeling good, the archangels, they leave you feeling so good, so amazing. They absolutely, like you just leave a session with them just feeling so ready to take on the world. You feel so empowered. That's the difference when you receive guidance from the archangels or from the ego mind. Now, one thing that I want to take note of and make sure that you understand is that sometimes the archangels will give you guidance that will ask you to step outside of your comfort zone, okay? And it's important for you to distinguish when they're asking you to do something that's outside of your comfort zone, but that's something that's necessary for you to grow and expand and move forward on your journey, versus when it's just something that the ego is saying that is causing you to feel fear. Because oftentimes the ego will say things or ask you to do things that kind of keep you where you are, or say that you're not ready or whatever, that kind of stuff. Whereas the archangels, they will ask you to step outside of your comfort zone. So the thing is that oftentimes when we hear that from the archangels, that can create fear within us in terms of, oh my goodness, I'm not ready for that. That's then the ego tripping up. No, I'm not ready for that. So it's important to distinguish between understanding and seeing when it is that the archangels are guiding you to take next steps that will move you past your comfort zone. And oftentimes, even though there might be a sense of fear that you feel with that, what's also paired with that fear is a feeling of excitement, of that feeling of, yes, I've always wanted to do that. That's something that I've been thinking about. That's something that I have always dreamt of doing, or that's exactly where I see myself going. So whenever there is any sense of fear that's paired with excitement, that means that that's the direction that you need to go in, because that is the indicator that you are moving outside of your comfort zone, which is why the fear comes up. But that excitement that you feel, that joy, that feeling of like, oh my goodness, yes, that is the feeling of your higher self, of your soul, of the archangels guiding you into the direction that is for your highest good, that is for your highest potential. Okay, so that's something that's really important for you to distinguish between that, because yes, sometimes, and I've experienced this, so I know firsthand, sometimes they can tell us things or ask us to do things that can still kind of make us feel like, what, are you sure? But it's important to really distinguish between that and know that even though there might be fear because you're going outside of your comfort zone, if there's excitement, if there's joy, it's because it's moving you in the direction that you need to go in, okay? So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about that, then you can definitely leave them below. Let me know in the comments, and I will come back and answer you in the comments. Now, before we finish out this video, I quickly want to give you 3 things that you can do to know and understand and practice this distinguishing between the ego mind and the archangels, and just to help you in your journey of connecting with your archangels and deepening your connection and receiving their guidance and messages. Now, the first one is to ask your ego mind, before you do any channeling, before you do any connection with the archangels, is to ask your ego mind to shut off. Like, ask the ego mind, say, ego, I love you, but I need you to be quiet right now. I need you to just go sit back in the corner, and I don't need your advice right now. I just need to listen to the archangels. Something like that, something along those lines, where you ask your ego mind to just be quiet, to shut down a little bit for a little while. That actually works really, really well. So if you find yourself kind of having trouble receiving information or anything like that, then ask your ego mind to be quiet. And then second thing is to call on Archangel Uriel. So Archangel Uriel is amazing at helping us to receive information with clarity. So if you're kind of feeling like you're receiving information, but it kind of feels confusing or uncertain or whatever it is, then ask Archangel Uriel to step forward and ask him to help you receive information with clarity. Okay, so Archangel Uriel, call on him. And then the third thing is really just a matter of practice. So practice, 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 practice. Practice is the best way that you are going to deepen your connection with the archangels, that you're going to get more familiar with the energy around you, and that is going to help you with the trust thing. So trusting takes that practice. The more you do it, the more you expose yourself to receiving messages and guidance, the easier it is to trust, the easier and more familiar you are with the energy. And then it's a lot easier to distinguish when the archangels are talking or when it's your ego mind talking. Okay. So those are my tips for you. So if you have any questions at all, please let me know in the comments below. And if you want to book a session with the archangels, receive their guidance, receive their healing, ask them any questions that you have, begin to open up to your gifts, know what direction you need to take, talk about your purpose, anything that you want to talk about, the archangels are ready to talk to you about. So if you are interested in that, then you can book a session with me. I'm going to leave the link for that below. A 60-minute session is $275. So the link for that is below. And if you have any questions about that, please reach out to me and let me know. So I am sending you all lots of love and angel blessings, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.